In this lesson, we're going to talk about the area of a circle and how we can calculate it. The important thing we need to know first, though, is the radius of the circle. And remember, the radius is the distance from the center of the circle to the edge. We call that the radius. We need that because we have a formula for calculating the area, and it looks like this. The area equals pi times the radius squared. So here's an example. We've got a radius of 6 meters. I can take that value for my radius and plug it into my formula, and I get the area equals pi times 6 squared, because r squared is in our formula, and we know that r is 6, so I simply substitute the 6 in where the r is, so I get an area of 36 pi, and don't forget, it's an area, so my units will be squared. Now, if you didn't have a calculator with a pi button, or you forgot what pi is, you could leave that as your answer and you'll be correct. If you do have a pi button, you can go ahead and calculate it in your calculator, or you could use the value 3.14 as an approximation for pi. And if I did that, I'd get 36 times 3.14 is 113.04 meters squared. Now what that means is if I took my circle and divvied it up into 1 meter square blocks, like this one here, this is 1 meter by 1 meter, there'd be just a fraction over 113 of them inside my circle. So it's the area of my circle. In this example, I've got a diameter of 18 centimeters. Now, this is something to watch out for. If you're given the distance from one side of the circle to the other, that is the diameter, not the radius. Remember, the radius is half of the diameter. So I would take my 18 and divide it by 2, and I'd get a radius of 9 centimeters. We need to use that radius value in our formula. So now that I know the radius is 9, I can substitute it into my formula, pi times the radius squared, which gives me an answer of 81 pi centimeters squared. If I was to actually use a value of 3.14 for my pi, I get an area of 254.34 centimeters squared. Sometimes, though, we're given a question where we don't need to work out the area of the whole triangle, just a part of a triangle, maybe a half or a quarter. The trick with these is to make sure we calculate the area of the whole circle first. So to calculate this shaded area, here in this example, first calculate the area of the whole circle, and then divide by the amount that you need. So in this case, I need half, so I'm actually going to work out the area. In this case, my radius is 14 meters because I've been given a diameter, so I have to halve that to get the radius of 14. And I get a value of 615.44 square meters. Now that is for the entire circle because I've used the area of a circle formula. Now, because I only want half the circle, I can simply divide that by 2. In other words, I'm halving the value that I got. So the area of half the circle is 307.72. That is this shaded bit. So with these kinds of things, always do the whole circle first and then divide by the fraction that you need. Here's one more example. I've got a quarter of a circle here. Has a radius of 5 centimeters. So remember, I work out the full circle first. So pi times 5 squared gives me a full circle area of 25 pi. I only want a quarter of that because my area in here is only a quarter of the circle. So I divide that by 4. So in other words, I get 25 pi, which was the whole circle, divided by 4 to give me the amount of 1/4. And that works out to be a value of 19.625 centimeters squared. That's the area of my quarter circle. Once again, get the whole circle first and then divide by the bit that you need. All right, that is how we calculate the area of a circle or part of a circle.